Let me tell you something right now. There's power in a woman who learns how to let go. See, some of y'all been holding on so tight, like if you let go, everything gonna fall apart. But what you don't realize is sometimes your strength ain't in the hold, it's in the release. Men can't resist a woman who knows how to detach. Why? Because it shows she ain't desperate, she ain't needy, she ain't begging for attention, affection, or validation. She's in her lane, she's peaceful, and she's not trying to force a man to stay. That kind of woman, that's rare, and anything rare becomes valuable. A woman who detaches got something different about her. She walks different, talks different, she ain't caught up in drama, she ain't blowing up phones, she ain't crying to be chosen. She already chose herself. And when a woman gets to that point, oh, believe me, she becomes magnetic. Because, see, men are hunters by nature, and what you don't chase, they gotta chase. That's how it works. You ever seen a man lose interest in a woman who's doing the most to keep him, but then watch how he suddenly straightens up when she stops caring, when she goes silent, when she detaches with class and calm? That's when it hits him. He was playing games with a woman who wasn't playing back. And let me be real with you. Detachment ain't bitterness. It ain't coldness. It ain't about shutting your heart down. It's about putting your peace first. It's about saying, I love you, but I love me more. And that right there, that line, that's what makes a man respect you differently. That's what makes him question what he brought to the table. See, when you're too available, too forgiving, too tolerant of being mistreated, you lose your value in a man's eyes. Not because you ain't valuable, but because you stopped acting like you were. But the moment you start detaching from disrespect, detaching from inconsistency, detaching from confusion, that's when you elevate. That's when you glow up. You ever seen a woman who left a toxic situation and suddenly started shining? Hair done, mind clear, goals focused, energy strong. She ain't even looking for him no more, and now he blowing up her phone. Why? Because when she detached, she reclaimed her power. And power is attractive. Peace is attractive. Confidence is attractive. You ain't got to scream to be heard. You ain't got to fight for love. The moment you walk away from anything that ain't honoring you, your silence becomes louder than words. Your absence becomes the biggest message you ever sent. And that message, that's the one men don't forget. So don't be afraid to detach. Don't be afraid to love yourself enough to walk away. Don't be afraid to say, this ain't for me. Because the right man, the man who sees you, he'll step up when you stop chasing. He'll get it together when you stop tolerating the bare minimum. He'll move different when you stop moving toward him. You were never meant to beg for love. You were meant to be love. You were meant to inspire, to uplift, to shine. And if a man can't see that, detach. Not to hurt him, but to heal you. Remember this, a woman who detaches with grace walks with purpose. And a woman who walks with purpose, she don't chase nothing, she attracts everything. Now go ahead and level up. A woman who detaches gains clarity, confidence, and control over her life. Now that right there, that's the truth in its rawest form. See, when a woman is too wrapped up in trying to hold on to a man, too consumed by what he's doing, where he's going, who he's texting, or whether he still feels the same way, she loses pieces of herself. She forgets who she is. Her energy starts revolving around somebody else's behavior, somebody else's mood, somebody else's decisions. And the danger in that is that she starts thinking her happiness, her worth, her peace, her joy, all depend on that man. But the moment she chooses to detach, not out of anger, not to play games, but from a place of self-love, that's the moment everything starts shifting. Detachment is the beginning of awakening. It clears the fog. It pulls you out of emotional chaos and brings you back into yourself. It's like wiping off a dusty mirror. You finally start to see yourself again. The version of you that dreams big, that knows what she deserves, that don't settle for crumbs, when she deserves the whole. When a woman detaches, she stops asking questions that make her small. She stops wondering why he didn't call, why he pulled away, why he treats her like an option. Those questions don't matter anymore. What starts to matter is how she feels about herself. What starts to matter is what she wants out of life, how she wants to be loved, and what she's no longer willing to accept. You know what detachment really is? It's power. It's having the strength to say, I'm not going to let your lack of clarity confuse my value. I'm not going to let your inconsistency ruin my peace. That's when a woman begins to stand taller, speak bolder, and move wiser. And you can feel it in her presence. You can feel that shift in her energy. She's no longer looking for someone to complete her. She's discovering that she's already whole. That's what clarity does. It reminds her of who she was before she got caught up in trying to prove her worth to someone who didn't even recognize it. Confidence, that comes next. Confidence blooms in the space that detachment creates, because now she's not walking around worried about whether he'll stay or go. She's focused on herself, her goals, her growth. She's dressing for herself, smiling for herself, living for herself. And that kind of confidence is unstoppable. It don't need approval. It don't seek attention. It don't feed off validation. It's rooted, it's solid, it's real. And men notice that. Everybody notices that, because confidence is magnetic. And when it's built on self-respect, it changes the whole room. And let's talk about control. Not control over people, but control over her own life. When a woman detaches, she's no longer reacting to every little thing. She ain't spiraling when he pulls away. She ain't checking her phone every 2 minutes hoping for a text. She's got better things to do. She's got peace to protect, bags to secure, dreams to chase. She's not sitting around waiting for a man to figure out if she's worth choosing. She already chose herself. That's what real control looks like. It's emotional maturity. It's knowing you can care about someone and still walk away if they're not matching your energy. It's choosing peace over potential. It's choosing yourself over patterns that keep breaking your heart. When a woman detaches, she stops trying to fix things that were never hers to fix. She stops trying to make excuses for someone else's lack of effort. She stops bending over backwards to make something work that was never aligned with her spirit in the first place. And in that stillness, in that decision to let go, she finds herself again. She finds the woman she was before the overthinking, before the tears, before the settling. And that woman, she's powerful. She's unstoppable. She's free. And don't get it twisted. Detachment don't mean you don't love. It don't mean you don't care. It just means you love yourself enough to not be destroyed by somebody else's indecision. It means you can hold love in your heart, but keep your boundaries intact. It means you can be kind, but not foolish, loyal, but not blind, soft, but not naive, because a detached woman is still warm, but she's not waiting around in the cold for someone who don't know how to show up. And what's crazy? That's when people start treating her different. That same man who used to take her for granted, now he's second guessing everything. That same man who didn't know her worth, now he's realizing what he lost. Because see, when she was chasing him, calling him, proving herself to him, he thought he had time. But the moment she detached, the moment she stopped responding, stopped explaining, stopped chasing, that's when he started feeling the absence of her presence. That's when it hit him, because men feel silence louder than words. They feel distance deeper than confrontation. And when a woman detaches, it's not to punish, it's to preserve. So don't ever underestimate the power of letting go. Don't ever think detachment means weakness. It takes strength to stop fighting for someone who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. It takes courage to say, I deserve more, and actually walk in that truth. And it takes wisdom to understand that sometimes the only way to win is to walk away to will, not with bitterness, not with hate, but with peace. A woman who detaches is a woman who's no longer emotionally handcuffed to someone else's potential. She's no longer stuck in cycles of disappointment. She's no longer afraid of being alone because she's already found her own company to be enough. And that's the kind of woman that doesn't just survive, she thrives. She creates, she grows, she heals, she glows. And eventually, she attracts someone who's just as whole, just as ready, just as aware of her value as she is. So if you're a woman holding on, trying to fix, trying to chase, trying to convince someone to see your worth, pause for a second, breathe, remember who you are. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to prove anything to someone who can't see what's in front of them. You don't have to keep giving all your energy to someone who ain't pouring nothing back into you. You have the right and the power to detach. And when you do, you'll see it, you'll feel it, that clarity, that confidence, that control. It'll return to you. And you'll realize the most beautiful thing, you never really lost it. You just gave it away for a while. Now it's time to take it back. Because a woman who detaches ain't bitter, she's better. She ain't broken, she's building. She ain't lost, she's learning. And most of all, she ain't waiting, she's walking. Walking into her power, walking into her peace, walking into a version of herself that don't chase love because she is love. Detachment is not giving up, it's leveling up. See, that's where most people get it twisted. They think when a woman pulls back, when she stops calling, when she stops pouring all her energy into a man, she's giving up. They see it as surrender, as a sign of weakness or failure. But let me break it down for you. Detachment is not quitting, it's evolving. It's stepping into a new version of yourself that's no longer available for anything less than you deserve. It's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. When a woman chooses to detach, what she's really doing is deciding to rise. She's deciding that her peace, her purpose, and her self-respect matter more than holding on to someone who keeps showing her confusion. She's making the bold choice to stop entertaining mixed signals, to stop chasing potential, and to stop building a future with someone who doesn't even show up in the present. That's not giving up, that's growth, that's strength. That's what leveling up looks like in real life. Because here's the truth, sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is let go of something you wanted so badly to work. Sometimes love blinds you to the facts, and you hold on hoping they'll change, hoping things will go back to how they were in the beginning. But the beginning was a promise, not a pattern. And when the actions stop matching the words, when the energy becomes inconsistent, when your heart feels more anxious than at peace, that's your sign. Not to give up on love, not to give up on yourself, but to shift, to rise, to level up. Letting go isn't weakness, it's walking away from emotional poverty. It's choosing abundance, choosing your worth, choosing to stop accepting crumbs from someone who should have been serving a full plate. It's saying, I know what I bring to the table, and if you can't see that, I'll go eat alone until someone can. And that energy, that's high value energy. That's elevation. That's not settling for temporary comfort when you deserve permanent peace. See, when you detach, you start realizing just how much you were tolerating. You start noticing the patterns, the breadcrumbs, the apologies without change, the promises that led nowhere. You see clearly how you were shrinking yourself to keep the connection alive. And then it hit you. You weren't loving yourself the way you deserve. But now you're waking up. Now you're reclaiming your time, your mind, your energy. You're no longer driven by fear of losing him. You're driven by the desire to find you again. That's what leveling up is all about. It's internal, it's spiritual, it's emotional. It's when you stop obsessing over what someone else is doing and you start obsessing over your own healing, your own happiness, your own glow. You get back in touch with your power, and suddenly you don't miss the drama. You don't miss the hot and cold behavior. You don't miss the confusion, because clarity feels too good. Peace feels too good. And you start asking better questions. How do I want to? What do I need to thrive? What kind of love reflects the love I have for myself? And look, it don't happen overnight. Sometimes detachment feels like withdrawal. It hurts. You're detoxing from someone you got emotionally addicted to. You might cry. You might miss them. You might even feel like you're making a mistake. But that's just the storm before the calm. That's just your heart adjusting to a new rhythm, one that's no longer beating for someone else's approval, but for your own freedom. And once you push through that phase, once you get past that emotional turbulence, that's when the magic starts. That's when you begin to feel light again, free again, powerful again. That's when you start attracting new energy, new opportunities, new people who see you the way you deserve to be seen. Because the truth is, you can't level up while staying stuck in the same cycle. You can't rise while clinging to what's holding you down. And detachment is the first step to the next level. It's the doorway. It's the decision to elevate your standards, your boundaries, your self-love. You ever notice how after a woman finally lets go, her life starts to bloom, her skin clears up, her spirit gets lighter? That's not a coincidence. That's detachment doing its job. That's what happens when you stop overwatering dead plants and start pouring into yourself. That's what happens when you stop begging for love and start becoming it. And the crazy part, the moment you detach, the very thing you were chasing often comes back around, because now he sees you're not playing. Now he feels the absence of your energy. Now he realizes what he lost. But by that time, you've changed, you've grown, you've leveled up. And now you're asking yourself, is this even enough for me anymore? Because you've tasted peace, you've touched healing. And sometimes when you detach, you don't just let go of a person, you let go of a version of yourself that was willing to settle. So no, detachment is not giving up. It's not failure. It's not weakness. It's you choosing to walk away from confusion and walk into clarity. It's you choosing to stop fighting battles that were never yours to begin with. It's you saying, I deserve more, and then backing it up with action. And that kind of strength, that kind of mindset, that's a woman who's on her way to something greater. You're not giving up on love, you're just refusing to beg for it. You're not giving up on connection, you're just refusing to stay where there's no consistency. You're not giving up on relationships, you're just raising the standards for the ones you allow into your life. That's not giving up, that's not quitting, that's a level up. That's an upgrade in mindset, in energy, in self-worth. The most powerful thing you can ever do is walk away from something that no longer feeds your soul. And when you do it with grace, when you do it without bitterness, without resentment, without needing to prove anything, that's when you unlock a new level of womanhood. That's when you realize detachment wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The beginning of a life where you don't just survive, you thrive. Where you don't just love, you get loved right. Where you don't chase, you attract. So hold your head high, wipe your tears, straighten your crown, and remind yourself, you didn't give up, you grew up. You didn't lose, you leveled up. And you're not done yet. You're just getting started. When you stop chasing, the right man starts noticing. That truth right there can shift a woman's entire life if she really lets it sink in. See, we live in a world where too many women have been taught to prove, to please, to pursue, all in the name of being chosen. They've been told if they're sweet enough, available enough, given enough, maybe that man will finally see their worth. Maybe he'll finally commit. Maybe he'll finally treat her right. But the problem is when you chase a man, you automatically flip the dynamic. You give away your power. You send a message, whether you mean to or not, that you're trying to earn what should be given freely. Love, respect, attention, consistent. But here's the thing, the right man doesn't need to be chased. He doesn't need constant reminders of your value. The right man recognizes it from the start. And if he doesn't, then he ain't the right one. But you won't even get the chance to figure that out if you're too busy running after someone who keeps walking away. Chasing creates anxiety. It creates imbalance. It makes you question yourself. And let me tell you, when you're busy proving your worth, you forget to honor it. You forget to ask, is this person even worthy of me? Because all your energy is focused on making him stay instead of asking if he should. Now, let's be real. We've all been there. You catch feelings, you get excited, you start imagining the future, and when he starts pulling back, you panic. So what do? You lean in, you call more, text more, show up more, thinking maybe if you just love him harder, he'll come around. But what actually happens, he pulls away even more. And now, not only are you hurt, but you're also exhausted, because love was never meant to be chased. It was meant to flow. It was meant to be mutual. When it's real, it's felt on both sides. You don't have to convince anyone to care about you. You don't have to chase what's already yours. So the shift happens when you stop chasing, not to manipulate, not to play games, but because you finally realize you deserve more. You realize you're not here to beg for energy, for time, for effort. You're not here to fight for a spot in someone's life who's unsure about you. You're here to be loved right, fully, freely, intentionally. And the moment you stop chasing is the moment the game changes. That man you were running after, now he's wondering where you went. Now he's realizing your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. Because here's what a lot of men don't realize until it's too late. A woman's silence is powerful. Her peace is louder than any argument. And her decision to walk away from confusion will echo long after she's gone. You see, men are natural pursuers. That's how they're wired. When a woman starts doing all the work, all the calling, all the planning, all the fixing, he subconsciously stops feeling the need to invest. He gets comfortable. He gets lazy. And before you know it, the roles are reversed. You're chasing, he's relaxing. And now you're wondering what happened. What happened was you stepped out of your feminine power, your natural ability to receive, to allow, to inspire action instead of forcing it. When you stop chasing, you return to that power. You move with grace, you move with intention, and the right man feels that, because the right man isn't attracted to desperation. He's drawn to a woman who values herself, a woman who's not afraid to let go, a woman who's not clinging, not begging, not always available at the drop of a dime. That kind of woman makes him step his game up. That kind of woman makes him pay attention. Why? Because now there's something to lose. Now he understands she's not like the rest. She's not going to stick around while he figures out what he wants. She knows what she wants, and if he's not on that level, she'll keep it moving. And don't get it confused. This ain't about withholding love or playing cold or pretending you don't care. No, it's about alignment. It's about not forcing connections. It's about trusting that what's meant for you won't have to be chased. You see, when you stop chasing, you create space. And in that space, something powerful happens. You start receiving. You start attracting. Your energy shifts. You stop operating out of fear and start walking in faith. You start focusing on yourself again, your joy, your peace, your goals. You start glowing different. And that glow, that's what draws the right man in. He sees that you're not desperate, you're desired. He sees that you're not needy, you're needed, but only by someone who matches your energy. And he starts thinking, wait, why am I not showing up for this woman? Why am I not putting in the effort? And either he rises to meet you or he watches someone else do it, because when a woman stops chasing, she opens the door for someone who's already ready. Someone who don't need convincing, someone who don't need coaching, someone who knows a good thing when he sees it and acts like it. So stop chasing, not to get his attention, but to get yourself back. Stop chasing so you can breathe again, think again, feel again, love yourself again. Because when you're always reaching for someone else, your hands are too full to catch the blessings meant for you. When you're always moving toward a man who ain't moving toward you, you miss the one who would have met you halfway or gone the whole way just to be near you. And the moment you stop chasing, that's when you realize you were the prize all along. You were the blessing. You were the peace. And the right man, he don't need to be chased. He's been searching for a woman just like you. Now it's time to let him find you.